This is your lesson for completing your review worksheet. So we're going to be working on the Unit 2 Number Sense review worksheet. This is posted on Google Classroom as a PDF for you. The other option that you have is you're welcome to just do these problems on a piece of paper or a whiteboard or whatever you have. So it's kind of up to you how you want to do this one, but I will have the pictures up on my screen and you can just look at them off of here, or you're welcome to have that other document open if you want to as well. You'll just be typing in answers as we go, so you don't actually need to have the physical paper copy next to you. For the first question, we have Jocelyn built the shelf shown below to fit into a narrow closet. The shelf is made of 3 pieces of wood, each 0.3 meters wide. There's also 0.05 meters of space between the shelf and the wall on each side. What is the total width in meters of Jocelyn's closet? So I'm going to ask you to go ahead, take a look at this one. Total width is what we're looking for. So go ahead and add those up. So the total width, we have the two spots that are 0.05. So I'm going to go ahead and add those together first. Those are the two outside pieces. And 5 plus 5 is 10. So I'm going to carry. And I get 0.1 meters for the sides. So I have these two are 0.1 meters. And then this one, if I have 0.3, 0.3, and 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, if I add those all together, I'm going to get 0.9. So for the total, I have to do that empty space, which is 0.1, and the boards that are in there for her shelf, which is 0.9, and that's going to give me 10. So I'm going to actually put a 0, carry my 1. So Jocelyn's closet is 1 meter wide. Question number 2. The point on the number line shows the location of negative 1.5. So that's down here. So that tells me that this must be negative 1. This must be negative 3, 4, and this is negative 5 then. And same way up here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what we're going to do is complete these 4 problems and then write the letter of the problem in the box that shows its answer on the number line. So a lot of these are going to be mental math for you. So this is question 2, and I'm going to have you do letter A first. For question 2A, you have negative 1.5 plus 2.5. You already have common denominators. The negatives, the positives, there's more positives, and we need to figure out how many more. So I'm actually doing 2.5 minus 1.5 inside my head, and 2.5 minus 1.5 is 1. So letter A is going to go here in the third box. Go ahead, take a minute and do letter B. So here we're going to actually end up adding these two together. So negative 1.5 plus 2. There's more positives. So inside my head, I'm doing 2 minus 1.5. And the difference here is going to be a half, and it's a positive 1/2. So B is going to go here in the third box. Go ahead, take a minute, do letter C. Both of these are negatives, so I'm going to keep the negatives and I'm going to add them. 1 and 3, add the whole numbers, which is 4. And then a half and a half is 2 halves. So this is really a negative 5 because this is a 1 whole. So we can swap it out. So C is going to go in that first box here. Take a second, go ahead, do letter D. Change this to add the opposite, and then you have negative 1.5 plus a negative 1. So that gives you negative 2.5, which is going to go right here in that final box. Take a look at number 3. I'm going to have you do the first one right here. So before you can divide when you have mixed numbers, you need to make them both improper. So 4 times 5 is 20 plus 3 divided by 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3, and this is a negative. So sign analysis, my answer is going to be a negative. And I need to keep, change, and then flip. The 4 and the 2 are going to cancel each other out. Well, it'll cancel the 2 and then just simplify the 4. 23 times 1 is 23. 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to get negative 23 6th as my final answer here. Take a second on number 3. Do this one. Here you're just multiplying, so you need to go ahead and make improper fractions so that you can multiply. And I'm going to look at my signs. A negative times a positive will give me a negative. And as I look at the 16, 17, 24, 27, it looks like I have nothing to reduce here, which is kind of annoying. So on the bottom, I get 32, and then on the top, I'm going to actually have to write this out because this is still no calculator. 14 plus 4 is 18. 7 times 1 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. 9, 8, and 7 is going to be 15. So 459 over 32. So my final answer is negative 459 over 32. Take a look at question number 4. I'm going to have you complete the chart, and we're going to do these kind of line by line here. So we have a fraction that's going to be reduced. We have a decimal and a percent. So you're going to type in 2 answers in one spot here. You're going to type your decimal answer, and then you're going to put a comma and a space, and then you're going to type in your percent answer. So 3/4 is a really common one. 3/4, that's going to be 0.75. As a percent, that's 75%. Next example we have is 2.5. Again, you're going to type in your 2 answers as one spot here. So you're going to do your fraction reduced, comma, space, and then you're going to put in your percent here. So your fraction, 2.5, you could write this as 2 5/10, which would have to be reduced to 2.5, or you could write this as 5 halves. Either of those would be acceptable. Your percent then is going to be 250%. Next example, again, type your first answer, comma, and then your second answer. So 60%, I'm going to drop the percent sign, put it over 100. My zeros cancel out, so I have 6 over 10, which I need to reduce to be 3/5. And 60 hundredths is going to be 0.60, but I want to go ahead and drop that last 0. So the best answer here would be 0.6. Down here in our almost last example, we have 73 hundredths. So I'm going to ask you to do a fraction is right there. You need a decimal and a percent. Since this one's 73 hundredths, it's just 0.73. And since it's already over 100, you can actually just drop the fraction and add the percent sign back on. For the last example, we have the decimal 0.08. You're going to go ahead and change it to a fraction and then also change it to a percent. Percent, you just move it over 2 places to the right, so it's going to be 8%. As I read this out loud, it's 8 hundredths. And if I divide by 4, I'm going to get 2 over 25 for this one. In the next page, we're going to do number 5 first. So we're going to start off with rounding the decimals to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead, just do all 3 of these, and you can type your answers in. First answer, comma, second answer, comma, and then we'll move on. So to the nearest tenth, this one's going to be 9.2. This one's going to be 12.7. That 1 makes it stay. And this one's going to be 7.9 because the 6 makes it goes up. For question number 6, you're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the first answer, comma, the second answer, comma, the third answer. So rounded to the ones place, that's just a whole number. This will go up to a 6. This will stay a 2, and this is going to be an 8 then. Question number 7. We're going to do these one at a time here. So 7a, the first one, we're going to add those 2 decimals. So you line up your decimal points, add on your 0, 5, 6, 9. So you get 9.65. Next one, line up your decimal points, add 6 plus 8 is 14, carry your 1, which is going to give you 10, carry your 1, which will give you 4, and 5 plus 3 is 8. Next one. So you're going to line up your decimal points, and I'm going to have to borrow. 5 will become a 15. 15 minus 8 is 7. 3 minus 2 is 1, and 3 minus 2 is 1. And our last one, 12.876 minus 10.5, add my zeros on, 6 minus 0, 7 minus 0, 8 minus 5, 2 minus 0, and 1 minus 1. For question number 8, we're going to go ahead and just do this one. We are going to multiply the quantities. So you have 3/4 times 50%, so this would be 50 over 100, which is actually going to reduce to be 1/2. And 0.4 is 4/10, which will reduce to be 2/5. So I'm going to want to use those. So 3/4 times 1/2 times 2/5. I'm going to use a different color here. My 2's are going to cancel out. And then that looks to be about it. 3 times 1 times 1, and 4 times 1 times 5. Our answer is 3/20. Question number 9, what would be the side length of this square? You might want to, at this point in time, grab your notes packet and open it up to the square roots lesson. That has the list of the perfect squares listed out for you, and you are welcome. You will have a copy of that actually on your unit test. So you're welcome to use that list of perfect squares now. So this is actually asking you to do the square root of 121, which is going to be 11 inches for each side of this square. Question number 10, this is where you're going to go ahead and definitely use that integer chart, or perfect squares chart that you have. So we want to know what two integers the square roots would fall between. So for this one, the square root of 19, this is going to be between the square root of 16 and the square root of 25, which is going to be between 4 and 5. Go ahead and do the square root of 62. So this one's going to be this is going to be the square root of 64 up here and the square root of 49 here. So it's going to be between 7 and 8. Question number 11, we're going to place these on the number line, and we don't have to be super accurate here. I am looking at my number line though, and I'm missing some numbers. So 2.4 I'm going to start with because that's the most obvious one. So 2.4 would be between 2 and 3. So we can put that one right there. 28%, if I change it back to a decimal, is 0.28. So that's going to be right here. Square root of 15, this is really close to the square root of 16, which is 4, but it's going to be a little bit smaller. It's going to be between 3 and 4. So between 3 and 4, there's my square root of 15. And my last one is 8/6, which makes sense because this is actually 1 2/3. So this one is going to be right here at 8/6 then. All right, here we're going to be simplifying the expressions, and we're going to do these one by one. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at number 12. Absolute value, as a reminder, it's a distance from 0. It's always a positive number. So the absolute value of -10 is 10. Take a look at number 3. You have an expression here. So absolute value happens first. That's going to be a +6, and you bring down the -3 and the plus. -3 plus 6 is 3. And finally, question 14. So here you want to go ahead and do the absolute value. That's going to be 10. This 2 is bumped right up, which means there's a multiplication symbol hiding between there. And bring down the 12 plus on the front. Following PEMDAS, you're going to do 2 times 10 first, and then 12 plus 20 is 32. A couple more down here. We are going to compare these with less than, greater than, or equal to. So go ahead, take a look at number 15. Use your keyboard and type in which symbol should go in between these. So quick check, 4 times 5 is 20, 6 times 3 is 18. So you should have had a greater than symbol here. For question number 16, be careful, these are negatives. Go ahead, type in which one it would be. 4 times 5 is 20, but it's negative. 8 times 3 is -24. -20 is actually greater than -24. And for the last one, we have a mixed number and an improper fraction. Be careful because they both are negative. So for this one, I can either compare these and I can actually say, okay, 22 divided by 7 is 3 and 1/7. So -4 is actually smaller than -3 and 1/7. Or I could go ahead, change this to an improper fraction, and then cross over and multiply. So that's the end of your number sense review. So this is part of your lesson for today. Tomorrow, or later today for you, kind of depending on your timing, you are going to go ahead and work on the unit test then for Unit 2, which is number sense.